The Night Dispatcher. Chapter 1, The Room That Never Sleeps. The room was always the same temperature. Not warm. Not cold. Something carefully neutral, designed so no one's body distracted the mind from what it was about to hear. Fluorescent lights hummed softly overhead, never flickering, never dimming. The kind of light that made time feel flatter than it was. Emily Carter sat at her station with a headset resting lightly against one ear, her other hand wrapped around a mug that had gone cold an hour ago. It was 2:17 a.m. The night shift at the County 911 center moved differently than the day. Fewer calls. Longer silences. When the phone rang, it usually meant something had already gone wrong. Emily liked nights. Not because they were easy, they weren't, but because people sounded more honest in the dark. Panic had less audience. Fear came stripped down, raw and unpolished. She glanced at the wall clock. Red digital numbers. Always red. She used to think it was dramatic. Now it just felt practical. Carter, her supervisor, said quietly from across the room. "You good?" Emily nodded without looking up. Always. That was half a lie. No one was always good at this job. You just learned how to sound like you were. The center was quiet except for keyboards and low voices. 3 other dispatchers. All veterans. No one wasted words at this hour. Emily adjusted her headset. She had learned, over 12 years, that listening was a physical act. It settled in the shoulders. Tightened the jaw. Lived somewhere behind the eyes long after the call ended. The phone rang. Line 3. Emily straightened automatically and pressed the button. 911, what's your emergency? For a moment, there was only breathing. Slow. Controlled. Almost deliberate. "This isn't an emergency," a man's voice said. Emily didn't interrupt. People who started that way usually needed the space to finish. "I just didn't know who else to call." Emily glanced at the screen. No location yet. No caller ID. "That's okay," she said evenly. "You can tell me what's going on." Another pause. The man exhaled slowly. "I don't need an ambulance," he said. "And I'm not in danger." "Not exactly." Emily's fingers hovered over the keyboard. "Can you tell me your name?" she asked. There was a faint smile in his voice when he answered. "Let's skip that part." Emily felt something shift, not alarm, not fear. Experience. "All right," she said. "Then tell me where you are." "I'm sitting in my car," the man said. "In a parking lot. Big grocery store. Closed. You know the kind." Emily pictured it immediately. Fluorescent lights buzzing over empty asphalt. Shopping carts lined up like forgotten things. "Yes," she said. "I do." Silence settled again. The clock ticked to 2:18. Emily waited. Chapter 2, The Sound of Someone Staying. "You don't sound like you're in a hurry," Emily said gently. "I'm not," the man replied. "That's kind of the problem." She leaned back slightly in her chair, grounding herself. The training manuals called this rapport building. Emily had always thought of it as something simpler. Staying. "What made you decide to call tonight?" she asked. The man laughed softly. Not amused. More surprised. "I didn't decide," he said. "I just found myself dialing." Emily typed as he spoke. Not words, patterns. Male. Adult. Calm voice. Controlled breathing. Not intoxicated. Not manic. Dangerous for a different reason. "How long have you been sitting there?" she asked. "Long enough for the store lights to turn off," he said. And for the parking lot to get quiet. Really quiet. Emily felt the weight of that. "What's your car look like?" she asked. "Blue pickup," he said. "Old. Reliable. Kind of ugly. Is it running?" "No." "Good," Emily said. "That tells me you're thinking clearly." There was another pause. "You're good at this," the man said. Emily didn't respond right away. "Talking to people when they don't know what they need," he continued. "You make it sound manageable." Emily swallowed. "This isn't about me," she said. "It's about you. And you're still here." The man let out a breath that sounded heavier than before. "Yeah," he said. "I guess I am." The call timer passed 5 minutes. Emily knew something then. This wasn't a prank. This wasn't confusion. This wasn't a wrong number. This was someone who didn't want to be alone with his thoughts anymore, and had run out of places to put them. "What happened today?" she asked. The man was quiet for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice was softer. "My wife moved out this morning," he said. "Didn't take much. Just what fit in her car." Emily closed her eyes for half a second. "I'm sorry," she said. "It's okay," he replied quickly. "I mean, it's not. But it's been coming." Emily nodded, though he couldn't see it. "Did she say where she was going?" Emily asked. "To her sister's," he said. 3 states away. She left a note. On the counter. What did it say? The man hesitated. "That she was tired of waiting for me to come back," he said. Emily felt the words land between them. "Come back from where?" she asked. The line was silent. The clock turned to 2:24. And Emily realized, with absolute clarity, that this call was not going to end quickly. Chapter 3, The Things People Don't Say Out Loud. Emily didn't rush him. That was the first rule she'd learned the hard way: silence wasn't the enemy. Silence was often where the truth gathered courage. She could hear it in the way he breathed now. Slower. Less controlled. Like he was deciding whether to keep going. "You don't have to explain everything," she said carefully. "We can take it one piece at a time." The man laughed again, but this time there was no humor in it. "That's the problem," he said. "I don't know which piece broke first." Emily let her chair rock back just a little, grounding herself. She pictured him, alone in that truck, dashboard lights glowing softly, hands probably resting on the steering wheel like they were waiting for instructions. "How long have you been feeling like this?" she asked. There was a long pause. "Years," he said finally. "I just didn't have a word for it." Emily felt that land. Most people didn't call when the pain started. They called when it stopped making sense to carry it alone. "What do you do?" she asked. "Used to build houses," he said. "Custom stuff. Took pride in it. Then the company downsized. I picked up contract work. Then less. Then nothing steady." Emily typed quietly. "Loss of routine. Loss of identity." "And your wife?" Emily asked gently. "She tried," he said quickly. "I don't blame her. She waited longer than most people would have." His voice cracked on the last word. Emily leaned forward. "What were you hoping would happen tonight when you called?" she asked. The man was quiet. Then, barely above a whisper. "I was hoping someone would hear me before I disappear." Emily closed her eyes. This was the moment. Not the loud one. Not the dramatic one. The moment where a single wrong sentence could push someone further away, or pull them back just enough. "You're not disappearing right now," Emily said softly. "You're here. Talking to me." "I don't feel here," he replied. I feel finished. Emily swallowed. Finished things don't make phone calls, she said. People who still matter do. The line went silent again. She could almost feel him sitting there, weighing her words like something fragile. Chapter 4, The Night Holds Its Breath. The call passed the 20-minute mark. Emily noticed because her supervisor glanced at the timer, then looked away, deliberately giving her space. In this room, they understood. Some calls belong to everyone. Some belong to one voice and one listener. You ever feel like everyone else got a manual for life, the man asked suddenly, and you missed that day? Emily smiled faintly. Yes, she said. More often than you think. He let out a breath that sounded like relief. My dad used to say a man's worth was in what he provided, the man continued. I believe that. Still do, I guess. When I couldn't do that anymore, everything else felt optional. Emily felt anger rise, not at him, but at the weight men were taught to carry quietly. Providing isn't just money, she said. Sometimes it's showing up. Staying. The man didn't respond right away. I'm tired, he said. Not sleepy. Just tired of pretending I'm fine. Emily nodded, even though he couldn't see it. You don't have to pretend with me, she said. I don't need you to be okay. I just need you to keep talking. Outside the building, rain began tapping against the windows, light at first, then steadier. Emily noticed it absently, the sound weaving into the call, making everything feel smaller and more contained. Can you tell me something real about tonight? She asked. Like what? Like what made you choose this parking lot, she said. He hesitated. My wife and I used to shop here, he said. Late nights. After work. We'd argue about cereal. Dumb stuff. Emily let that sit. I parked where we used to park, he added. Thought maybe. I don't know. I'd feel something familiar. And do you? Emily asked. Yes, he said quietly. It hurts. Emily nodded. Hurt means there's still something there, she said. That's not nothing. The clock rolled past 2:45 a.m. Emily realized something then. This man hadn't called to die. He had called to be seen. And the night, heavy and quiet, was listening with them. Chapter 5, The Thing He Never Forgave Himself For. Can I ask you something personal? The man said. Emily didn't hesitate. You can ask. If I say it out loud, he continued, does it become real? Emily thought for a moment. It becomes shared, she said. That's different. The man was quiet. Long enough that Emily wondered if she'd lost him. Then. My brother died 3 years ago, he said. Emily straightened slightly. I'm sorry, she said. So is everyone, he replied. That's kind of the problem. She didn't interrupt. He called me that night, he continued. Left a voicemail. I was asleep. Or pretending to be. I listened to it in the morning. His breathing changed. Sharper now. Less controlled. He wasn't asking for help, he said quickly. Not directly. He never did. He just said he was tired. Said he wished things had gone differently. Emily felt her throat tighten. What did you do? She asked gently. I deleted it, he said. Didn't even save it. I told myself I'd call him later. The silence that followed felt heavy enough to press against Emily's chest. He died that night, the man said. Car accident. Single vehicle. Police said it was probably exhaustion. Emily closed her eyes. And since then, he went on, voice flat now, every time someone says, you should have known, or, there were signs, it feels like they're talking directly to me. Emily leaned closer to the mic. You didn't cause that, she said. I know that in my head, he replied. But my chest didn't get the memo. Emily nodded. That's how guilt works, she said. It doesn't care what's logical. The man let out a shaky breath. I keep thinking if I just picked up, he said. If I'd just stayed on the line with him, maybe he wouldn't have been alone. Emily swallowed. You stayed on the line with me tonight, she said. That matters. There was a pause. Does it? He asked. Yes, Emily said. Because it tells me something about you. What? That when it counts, you choose connection. The man didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice was quieter. I don't feel like someone worth staying for, he said. Emily felt the weight of that sentence settle between them. You don't get to decide that alone, she said. Chapter 6, When the Line Almost Goes Dead. The rain outside had turned steady now, drumming softly against the windows of the dispatch center. Emily barely noticed. Her world had narrowed to the sound of one man breathing on the other end of the line. How close are you to the store entrance? She asked. About 20 yards, he said. Are you still in the truck? Yes. Doors locked? Yes. Emily exhaled slowly. Thank you for answering honestly, she said. He laughed weakly. You make it sound like a test. In a way, it is, she said. And you're passing. The line crackled suddenly. Emily, he said. Her stomach tightened. I'm here. I think my phone battery's dying. Emily's pulse quickened, but her voice stayed calm. Okay, she said. That's something we can handle. How much battery do you have? 10%. All right, she said. Let's be intentional with our time. There was a long pause. If it cuts out, he said, I don't want you to think. I won't, Emily interrupted gently. But I want you to stay with me as long as you can. He was quiet. I don't actually want to die, he admitted. I just don't know how to live like this. Emily felt her eyes burn. That's the most honest thing you've said tonight, she said. The timer passed 40 minutes. Emily knew that soon she'd need to make a decision, not for him, but for the call. Protocol existed for a reason. But so did judgment. And humanity. Can you do me a favor? She asked. What kind? Can you turn the truck back on? She asked. Just enough to charge the phone. There was hesitation. Then the sound of an engine turning over. Emily let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Good, she said. That's really good. The man was quiet for a moment. You're still here, he said. Yes, Emily replied. I am. And for the first time that night, she heard something new in his voice. Not hope. But permission to keep going. Chapter 7, Why He Came Here. The engine idled softly now, a low, steady sound filling the cab of the truck. Emily imagined the dashboard lights glowing blue and green, familiar, grounding. Machines had a way of doing that, reminding people the world was still operating, even when they felt stuck. Thank you for turning it on, she said again, not as instruction, but as recognition. He didn't respond right away. Emily, he said finally. Yes. I didn't come here just to sit, he admitted. She felt the shift immediately. The weight of a truth that had been circling all night, waiting for a place to land. I figured, she said gently. You don't have to rush it. He swallowed audibly. There's a bridge about a mile from here, he said. Old concrete one. No lights on the sides. Emily closed her eyes for half a second. Thank you for telling me, she said. That takes courage. He laughed quietly. Doesn't feel like it. Courage rarely does, she replied. The rain outside her building softened, like it was listening too. I drove past it twice, he continued. The first time, I didn't stop. The second time, I pulled over. Sat there. Watched cars pass. Emily kept her voice even. What made you leave? My phone rang, he said. Spam call. About an extended warranty. Emily almost smiled. Annoying, she said. Yeah, he replied. But it broke the moment. Made it feel interruptible. Emily leaned closer to the microphone. That matters, she said. Moments like that aren't as solid as they feel. He was quiet. I don't want to be remembered as the guy who gave up, he said. But I don't know how to be the guy who stays. Emily felt tears prick her eyes, but she kept her voice steady. You don't have to decide who you are tonight, she said. You just have to decide what you're doing in the next 5 minutes. 5 minutes felt manageable. I'm still in the parking lot, he said. That's good, Emily replied. That's a choice. He exhaled. I guess I keep waiting for something to tell me it's okay to keep going, he said. Emily nodded slowly. Sometimes, she said, that something sounds like a stranger on the phone who refuses to hang up. The line was quiet. Then he said softly, I'm glad you answered. Emily swallowed. So am I, she said. Chapter 8, The Decision That Isn't Loud. The call passed the 1-hour mark. Emily noticed because her coffee had gone completely untouched, and her shoulders ached in a way that meant she'd been leaning forward too long. She didn't move. She didn't want to break whatever fragile balance they'd built. Can you do one more thing for me? She asked. What is it? He replied. Can you tell me what you see right now? She asked. Outside the windshield. He hesitated, then looked. The rain's lighter, he said. Parking lot's empty. Just me and a couple shopping carts. Anything else? The store sign's flickering, he said. Always does that. Emily smiled faintly. Some things don't change, she said. No, he agreed. They don't. He was quiet for a moment. I don't think I'm going to the bridge, he said. Emily felt the words land, not like fireworks, not like relief. Like a door being left open. Thank you for telling me, she said. I'm not saying everything's better, he added quickly. I still don't know what tomorrow looks like. You don't need to, Emily said. Tomorrow is a separate problem. The rain stopped completely now. I think I'll drive home, he said. At least try to sleep. Emily nodded, even though he couldn't see it. That sounds like a good next step, she said. He paused. Will you remember this call? He asked. Emily didn't answer automatically. Yes, she said honestly. I will. He exhaled. That helps, he said. Emily listened as the truck shifted into gear, tires rolling slowly over wet asphalt. I'm going to hang up now, he said. All right, Emily replied. But before you do. Yes? Thank you for staying, she said. The line was quiet. Then, softly, thank you for answering. The call disconnected. Emily sat back in her chair and stared at the wall for a long moment. The clock read 3:26 a.m. Another call would come. Another night would move on. But this one would stay. Chapter 9, After the Line Goes Quiet. The room felt different after the call ended. Not emptier, heavier. Like something invisible had settled into the air and refused to leave. Emily removed her headset slowly and set it on the desk, careful not to let it fall or click too loudly. She stared at the screen for a long moment. No incoming calls. No alerts. Just the steady pulse of time moving forward. Her supervisor walked past, paused briefly behind her chair. "You okay?" he asked quietly. Emily nodded. "Yeah." It wasn't a lie. But it wasn't the whole truth either. She logged the call with steady hands, choosing her words carefully. No dramatics. No conclusions. Just facts. Time. Location. Outcome. Caller remained on the line. Caller chose to leave the area safely. She hesitated before adding the last note. Caller expressed intent, then chose otherwise. Emily leaned back and closed her eyes. She had learned over the years not to carry calls home with her. To leave them in this room, under these lights, among people who understood what it meant to listen for a living. But some nights didn't stay where you left them. When her shift ended, the sky outside was already lightening. Pale blue. Early morning quiet. Emily stepped into the parking lot and breathed in the cool air. Somewhere out there, a man was driving home instead of toward a bridge. That thought stayed with her all the way home. Chapter 10, The Day That Follows. He woke up late. Sunlight filtered through the blinds, unfamiliar and almost intrusive. For a moment, he didn't remember where he was. Then the quiet came rushing back, the absence of rain, the absence of a voice in his ear. He sat up slowly, rubbing his face. His phone lay on the nightstand, charging. Fully charged. No missed calls. No messages. For a second, doubt crept in. Had it all been exhaustion? A half-dream stitched together by loneliness? Then he saw the call log. One long call. Over an hour. He let out a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. The day didn't magically fix itself. His problems didn't evaporate. The house still felt too big. The silence still pressed in. But something had shifted. The thought of the bridge felt distant now. Not gone. Just quieter. Like a radio turned down low. He made coffee. Burned the toast. Opened a window. Small things. He didn't know what came next. Therapy, maybe. Calling his sister. Looking for work again. He just knew he wasn't done. And for the first time in a long while, that felt like enough. Chapter 11, A Face in the Crowd. They didn't plan to meet. Emily was standing in line at a coffee shop on her day off, hair pulled back, no headset, no red digital clock counting seconds overhead. Just a woman waiting for her order. She noticed him because he hesitated before stepping inside, like he wasn't sure he belonged there. Blue jacket. Tired eyes. Something familiar in the way he stood. Their eyes met briefly. Recognition flickered, not certainty, just instinct. He smiled, small and unsure. Emily felt her chest tighten. She didn't say anything. Neither did he. They passed each other quietly, two strangers sharing a moment neither could explain to anyone else. As he pushed the door open, he glanced back. She nodded once. That was all. They didn't need more. Epilogue, someone answers. Emily still worked nights. She still sat in the same chair, under the same lights, listening to voices that didn't know her face but trusted her anyway. Some calls ended loudly. Some quietly. Some stayed with her longer than she wanted. Every now and then, when the line went silent and the room held its breath, she reminded herself of one simple thing. Being there mattered. Not fixing everything. Not having the right words. Just answering. Somewhere out there, people were still dialing numbers in the dark. And as long as someone picked up on the other end, the night didn't win. Epilogue, someone answers. Emily still worked nights. She still sat in the same chair, under the same lights, listening to voices that didn't know her face but trusted her anyway. Some calls ended loudly. Some quietly. Some stayed with her longer than she wanted. Every now and then, when the line went silent and the room held its breath, she reminded herself of one simple thing. Being there mattered. Not fixing everything. Not having the right words. Just answering. Somewhere out there, people were still dialing numbers in the dark. And as long as someone picked up on the other end, the night didn't win. If this story stayed with you, don't rush away. Take a second. Breathe. If you're listening late at night, know this, you're not the only one awake. And if you've ever felt close to the edge, closer than you wanted to admit, reaching out is not weakness. It's staying. If this story meant something to you, leave a comment. Even a single word. Someone else reading it might need to know they're not alone. Subscribe if you want more quiet stories like this, the kind that don't shout, but stay with you. And if you or someone you know is struggling right now, please reach out to a local support line or someone you trust. Someone is always on the other end. Thank you for listening. And thank you for staying.